Bet on Bears fans, another edition of the Chicago Bears podcast coming your way. Pat the designer, Lance Briggs in for a Monday edition of the episode with a bit of heavenly lighting behind him, Lance. I like the lighting touch behind you there. It's almost like the angel on your shoulders, my guy.
I appreciate that. I don't get that feeling. You know, that's a daily feeling for me. Yeah, it's a daily feeling for me. You know what I mean? I wake up, feel blessed. And yeah, so carrying on.
I love it. It didn't feel blessed last night after that game came to an end, and we got to talk about that. The Chicago Bears offense just definitely improved, but couldn't find that rhythm that they needed to do. We got to talk about the offensive line play of this team, and of course the quarterback, and also how good it has to feel seeing a defense go out versus, to me, what's a Super Bowl contending team and be able to shut down an entire phase and make life hard on CJ Stroud. We'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of the Chicago Bears podcast. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Lance, how are you feeling, my guy?
Feeling good. You know, weather's nice. Weather's great. You know, you typically I wake up to some rain here in Chicago, but it's not that way. It's sunny. It's nice outside. I'm sure that a lot of Chicagoans have plans to be outside and get some of those rays. You know, I know some people use the SPF. You know what I mean? I don't really use SPF, but I've seen it.
Not an SPF guy. You use that natural SPF, Lance. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I have that.
I only time I throw it on is when I go overseas, because I found out the hard way that that sun hit different. You go to them like the islands and stuff like that. Yeah, that sun hit a little different.
Well, I mean, and you know, listen, your pigment's a little bit lighter. You're a little lighter. You know, a little lighter. Right. Ain't nothing wrong with it now.
Hey, look, I did used to be the kid that got to make fun of all his cousins that got sunburned and just be like, hey, what's wrong with you? Why is it? It hurts? It hurts? Quit crying. Stop being a baby about it. Let's talk about a little bit of football here, Lance, because Sunday Night Football, Chicago Bears, Houston Texans.
Mm-hmm.
I said that this would be a close game. I thought maybe we'd get a little bit more as far as defensive turnovers in this game, but ended up being a close game. Bears have a chance to win at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams' interception ultimately brings an end to the game. Let's start with the offensive side of the football here real quick.
Okay.
What'd you see offensively that they just couldn't get going?
Well, we still have problems with our guard and our center. Okay.
You did say it was going to be a long season.
It's going to be a long season. That's just what it is. You know, once one team gets a hold of that film and they see that, you know, we have issues in that interior offensive line, you know, that it's not as a cohesive unit as we need it to be, then, okay, fellas, we're going to continue to attack that. So each week, you have to prepare for a team that's going to attack us right there right in the heart of our offensive line until we show that we can stop it, or we can prevent it, or we can defend it, or we can block it up. We struggled there, you know, and that up front, I'll tell you what, because we struggled, it really put our new quarterback to test, you know, and it really tested his chin, his shoulders, his back, his butt, his legs, everything was on there, you know what I mean? And obviously he was a warrior for getting back up. However, if we don't fix that, he will not last very long.
This felt very familiar as a Bears fan. Caleb Williams, I don't think that Caleb Williams is not talented. I think that he was under duress all night. Don't take my word for it, though. I believe the stat is Caleb Williams dropped back 37 times. He was pressured on 36 of those 37 times that he dropped back, pressure in his face all day. I thought that offense, of course, right, and maybe it's a all-encompassing thing, but you brought up the center and the right guard position. I thought this was a really bad day for your tackles as well. I thought there was poor line play all the way around. I get it, right? Everybody's going to say, well, you know, it's Braxton Jones going up against Will Anderson. But the fact that we can't say, well, it's Will Anderson going up against Braxton Jones, I think is one of the big problems that a lot of Bears fans had coming into this season. When you look at that kind of O-line play that we saw on Sunday night, how do you get that turned around if you're this team, right? The guys you have are the guys you have. I think you've hit a talent ceiling with Braxton. Coleman Shelton still looks like he's kind of lost out there. We know the issues with Nate Davis. Darnell Wright he's still got some growth. You know what I mean? I guess maybe we can give him a little leeway, but there was a couple plays where he looked lost out there as well. How do you get this turned around if you're a coach right now?
Well, it's more than it's a collection of stuff too. They're in an NRG stadium now that's humming now that they have a championship caliber team.
Yeah.
And so now you're limited on how you can snap the ball. So the biggest disservice was to those tackles because they're getting a late jump as opposed to everybody in that inside, where you have Nate Davis that's tapping on the center and letting the center know, okay, he's snapping the ball, but you're getting a late jump. So you're going to get a lot of false starts from those outside tackles because they have their eyes pinned out to their first threat.
Yeah.
When the ball's being snapped inside, they're moving on the movement of the defensive end. So it puts them at a disadvantage if they don't come up with a better way of notifying everybody when that ball's going to be snapped. That is that plays to the strength of your defense. That's called home field advantage.
Yeah.
Okay? So as far as Braxton and Darnell Wright go, I think when we're at home or we find out a better way of handling our snaps, they'll have a better chance of handling those outside guys. As far as the offensive line, that's something that should have been fixed a while ago. Okay. Yeah. Now I've talked about this and nobody, people don't necessarily want to hear it, because it's the unpopular choice. But I've said this over and over again. I was like, hey man, listen, I'm a big fan of Rome Odunze. I like all these weapons that they brought in. But it means nothing. It means nothing if you can't get it to them. If you can't block anybody, ladies and gentlemen, then it doesn't mean anything. Like we can fill the board with weapons. Oh, you have this and that. But if there was been any evidence in this city to say we have struggled being able to protect, we've struggled being able to run and do all this stuff consistently. Now, a lot of our running and us being able to lead the league came from a quarterback that used his feet. A lot of that stuff came from, we'd go from, a team that might be running for 80 yards to a team that's running for almost 200 yards because we have a quarterback that could run the ball.
Yeah, no, 100%. And listen, me and you were probably the only podcast in all of the world going, it's okay to take a lineman as early as you need to take a lineman. Like, if you want to trade back, trade back. We had talked about the Pittsburgh situation, and we were just like, but if you get it at 20 and Jackson Powers Johnson is there, or there's somebody else on your board that you feel could be a guy long-term protecting your quarterback, take that guy. Am I excited to have Rome Odunze here? Sure. Do I think that he's going to be long-term talented for this team? 100%. But this is the scenario I didn't want to see the Chicago Bears get in. Caleb Williams was sacked 7 times last night. We've played this game and we've lost this game already.
And the thing, what I was hoping for in this draft was because there were so many talented offensive linemen, D linemen, in this draft. I was hoping that would change the kind of the landscape, and we would trade back. I'm hoping we would trade back with one of those picks, try to get another first round pick next year. Fill up on as many of these linemen this year. We have signed Keenan Allen. We have DJ, re-signed DJ, get the tight ends, and have that offensive line. And then going into the following year, so now we have protection. We have a unit that is starting to become cohesive and dominant. Then the following year, find whoever the top receiver is, because everyone's like, oh, it's generational. You know how many times they're going to say this generational for the top wide receivers that come out next year? They're going to say the same thing. It's every year you're going to say it. It's just how patient. You need to be patient. But it all plays into, we have all this stuff going on, and stuff with Justin Fields. It's not working out. We have to make some changes, and we need this right now. Well, when you make that change, you now have hit the button on the panic, and now you have opened up. You have to be patient again. You have to be patient again because now we have a new quarterback, we have a new setup. So there's things that have to have more patience than if Fields was still here.
Yeah, and I think this is my problem with it, Lance. It's obvious for the Bears at this point, right? Like, I get it. We want to blame everything on Justin Fields. I get it. We want to blame everything on Mr. Trubisky. It's all Jay Cutler's fault. It's all right. Like, how many quarterbacks have we done this for? Meanwhile, we go
millions.
Well, I mean, he does keep getting his head taken off. That could be a problem. Nah, you got to get that ball out. What? Like, I want people to understand. Here's my favorite stat for people to understand how important offensive line play is. And Jay still took a lot of sacks this season. The last year, the Chicago Bears had a legitimate starting center. We got to go back to Olin Cruz.
Right.
That was 2010. Lance, what happened in 2010?
We played in the NFC Championship game.
Do you think offensive lines are important, guys? Do you think that when you have legitimacy on both sides of your line, because the other side of the line was still crazy good as well. I believe that was an 11-5 season, first in the division. You know, like there's so many good things to look at. The last time you had a legitimate starting center, not a guard that you said, well, he can snap. Because Cody Whitehair made a Pro Bowl. Cody Whitehair was solid. I'm talking about a dude who is, I will kill you to make sure he gets the ball and he has his time. Oh, by the way, I'm helping diagnose what's on the field. The last time that happened was 2010. It's the last time we saw a real playoff run from the Chicago Bears. That is my issue with the lack of addressing the offensive line. And dare I say, from an offensive lineman, I am very shocked at how Ryan Poles has addressed the trenches, being a former lineman. We thought that was going to be at the top of his list of importance.
Well, let's look at it a few different ways. Okay, so weirdly, you know, as an offensive lineman, or maybe not weirdly, you know, as an offensive lineman, I was questioning, you know, his picks on the defensive line. You know what I mean? And not saying Billings, but Dexter, you know, and I'm seeing them start to step up. I'm seeing them start to shine, you know. So when you talk about, you know, getting picks, you know, and maybe mid-round picks or whatever, and getting something out of them, getting value out of them, I'm seeing the value there. I'm seeing more value on the defensive side in the trenches than I am on the offensive side. And maybe, you know, who knows? Maybe as an offensive lineman, maybe it's because of guys that you face. You know, maybe there's a better knack there. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that is the one good thing that we have going for us right now, Lance. I mean, offensively, there's still a ton of questions. I think there are massive questions that you have to answer on the line. You can't establish a run game. I mean, heck, you paid $8 million for a running back, and in 2 games, we've seen him be able to muster up less than 100 yards put together.
Well, you're trading in and out. You're trading in and out similar offensive coordinators.
Yeah.
You know, you can go back to Matt Nagy. You can go back to Matt Nagy and all the coordinators that have come after him. You're trading in one for another that have similar mindsets, and because they have those mindsets, they don't have and you bring in these young quarterbacks that you're supposed to be protecting by running the ball, but you don't have a power run mind frame or a mindset.
Yeah.
You know, and in today's day and age, you look at the Baltimore Ravens, you look at the 49ers, there are teams, and over these last 2 weeks, the teams that have been the most successful have run the ball. You know, I'm talking about they're running for 200, 175, 150, 160 yards. Those are the teams that are committing to it because they're starting to understand it. It's not complicated.
No, 100%. I mean, listen, it irritates me seeing we're supposed to be an outside zone run scheme type of team, and yet we're running DeAndre Swift right into the teeth of the defense like we were expecting him to all of a sudden become a power back this season. I don't understand throwing Travis Homer in there over Roshan Johnson. Now, there's not a ton of carries going around anyway. I mean, you had 22 carries in total in this game. 5 of them are from Caleb Williams running for his life. So you're not in a great place actually running the football. That was one of my concerns with Shane Waldron when we hired Shane Waldron. The one thing that I heard was this is a guy that did not want to put the ball on the ground. He wants that ball in the air. I'm fine with the ball being in the air, but you got to establish some kind of ground game. And if you want to go with a power run style, why is Roschon Johnson standing on the sideline taking cheap shots for some reason? He's just like, well, I'm just taking a hit to the helmet out here for nothing out here. Like, why aren't you putting in guys who are known for being able to go through the line?
Well, and it also comes down to, your philosophy. I think some of these guys get to a situation where they're trying to force something. You're trying to force something that won't fit. And so, offenses can only take what defenses allow. So if you're really paying attention, to what you're seeing or what they're playing or how they're playing, let's say they're an 8-man front. They're in a cover 3. They're running cover 3. Okay. Very simple. Most people understand cover 3. All right. You have 8 guys in the box. You're going to be stronger against the run. However, we noticed when we played against you guys, your nose and your 3 tech, they get pushed off the ball. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if that's the case, but you have 2 guys on the outside that are strong, we want to be an outside zone team, but that doesn't make sense to do that against this team.
Right.
All right. We're going to run in between the tackles because we're going to get knock off these interior defensive linemen. And that's how we're going to win until they make an adjustment. Okay. Now they're going to start blitzing. Oh, they want to start blitzing those gaps. Oh, okay. And let's trap their butts, but again, as soon as you hear somebody's doing something in your mind, it should click. Okay, this is how we should adjust on that. Oh, okay, they're doing that. Oh, okay, this is what we're gonna do. But guys don't do that. I saw this a lot with the Miami Dolphins last year, where you'd have games where they would just go crazy. You're like, whoa, look at these guys. This, playoff team. This, that, and then you get against a good defense. Get against good defense, and that defense will shut them down. They don't have an answer because they don't adjust.
Yeah.
They want to keep trying to force their hand, force this, force that, force it, and not take what the defense is giving you. So to me, there's great minds out there, but they're not minds that are built to adjust.
Is that a what's the right word for what I'm trying to, not a macho thing, but like kind of a, you're not going to stop us from playing our game kind of mindset. Cause we do. I mean, listen, we've seen that with 3 offensive coordinators now where they basically go, this is how I call it. This is what you're going to get. I'm calling it this way, no matter what. Is that kind of like we're going to play our style no matter what the defense shows us?
Kind of ego.
Yeah. Ego there. Kind of an ego there.
That certainly comes into play. Now an adjustment, listen, if I'll go back to even saying the cover 3 again, you know what I mean? Yeah. Listen, if the adjustment for us is something minor, it's just like, listen, this guy's getting knocked off here, maybe we'll run a trap, maybe we'll wham him, and see what happens. Okay, we tried, it did not work. He killed the wham, he killed the trap. We are in trouble. Okay, right. That's going to limit what we're going to do. That's going to limit us, guys. All right. We either, and that's also where we're at halftime or in a break. I'm gonna say, listen, fellas, if we can get this block, we're out the gate. We can't seem to block this guy, and the other 3 guys are dangerous. The 2 guys outside him are dangerous. Yeah. What are we gonna do? What can we do? Because right now, the adjustments that we're trying to make, we can't make them because they're still kicking our ass.
Yeah.
So it's, it does come a time where you're like, listen, knuckle up or shut up. That's where we're at, man.
Knuckle wasn't the word you were looking for there, was it?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, man. The one thing that I do feel good about, Lance, as we keep going through these weeks was the big questions that I had, especially with this defense, was, okay, you look great against Will Levis and his mayonnaise jar. You look great against, subpar quarterbacks that you had to play. What have you not seen the commercial? Have you not seen how much mayonnaise this guy's is into? It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable amounts of mayonnaise. I don't even mess with mayonnaise. Like I'm not like bro, that commercial makes my skin crawl every time. Now I'm like, now they have to add to it, by the way, like him underhand pitching the jar.
Oh wow.
For an interception the other way, because he keeps doing that as well. Yeah. But you're not playing Will Levis every week, and we've seen this defense dominate versus backup quarterbacks, subpar quarterbacks, those things, but struggle a little bit when you get up against the Jordan Love, struggle a little bit when you get up against the Jared Goffs, right, in those crunch time moments. Last night, I think you went up against an offense who, in week 1, ran the football 30 times, dominated on the ground, dominated on the pass. And I said, you have to find a way to make that team one-dimensional and make it CJ Stroud versus the DBs. And this defense was able to do it. They completely shut down Joe Mixon last night, completely shut down this Houston Texans running game. What'd you see defensively that made them so dominant against the run last night?
Well, there's the surprise. If there are any surprises for this defense at this point right now, it's more of man, they have consistently over the first 2 games played a less than par first half. Yeah, made some adjustments and have played great in the second. Hey, stout, absolutely stout defense in the second half. So what the biggest issue right now is, listen, we have to learn how to start fast. We're finishing strong. If we start fast and finish strong, we're looking at a probably a sub 13, sub 14 type of defensive effort. Maybe even dare I say it, maybe even a goose egg. And what I do love, I'll tell you this.
No, not with Fairbairn and Leg. We wouldn't have goose egged with Fairbairn and Leg. He was kicking it from the other side of the field.
Right. It's, again, that's why I said, dare I say, we're dealing with kickers that can kick 66 yards.
Yeah, that was crazy.
But it's also one of those deals, man, where it's like it's like I think the sky's kind of the limit for this team, and I think that they're going to continue to get they're certainly going to get better. The one thing that kind of hinders this defense a little bit is the offensive play, and offensively it takes away from your ranking. So really this is if this is a 1 or 2 ranked defense truly. Yeah. And your offense keeps giving the ball away, and not sustaining drives or anything like that, that takes a 1 and 2 guy to become a 4 and 5 type of defense.
I watch a lot of football on Sunday, probably an unhealthy amount. They probably need to see somebody about it. But, they gave me all these TVs, and I got Red Zone and Sunday Ticket.
There's only so many games you can watch.
Oh, my God. Well, there's so many games I can watch and lock in on, but I don't watch all of them and lock in. You know what I mean? If the Browns on my TV for the most part, yeah.
That's really an American problem you have. That's an American problem.
Oh, it's so great, though. But here's my thing. When I watch, I do key in on, some of those guys that are supposed to be the top defenses in the NFL. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're better than the Chicago Bears right now. Am I crazy to say that this could be the best defense in the NFL through 2 weeks?
Absolutely through 2 weeks. The one play that really sticks out to me was third down. Receiver catches the ball. About a yard away from the
Nico
first
Collins
down marker.
Yeah.
Nico Collins, right. Tariq Stevenson grabs him and starts to pull him away from, or tries. Yeah. Now, Nico's a big dude, man. You know what I mean? Listen, it's going to take more than Tariq at the angle that they're going, him, the receiver running away from him, you to grab him. Nico, all he has to do is fall forward. It's a first down. Okay. Now, enter Tremaine Edmonds. Okay? Ball. He comes in there and he grabs him, and you can see he pulls with all of his might away from that first down mark.
Yes.
Okay? Somebody else comes in, but to me, that they understood the fight begins when you get your hand on him. Yeah. And that you have to make them make another play. Don't give them anything. Don't give the offense anything. Because anything you give, you're allowing. If you're allowing it, then that's where points get put on the board. Make them fight for everything, because you never know. And they converted the next play, but heck, it could have been a fumble. Somebody could have punched it out. Could have been a sack. Could have been anything that got the ball going the other way. So, that to me are signs that we're really headed in the right direction.
Yeah,
now, I had issues with that last year.
Lance, you had so much of an issue with it. Whenever I see it, it's the first thing that pops in my mind is you going 11 hats to the ball. We're not getting 11 hats to the ball.
Nope.
Literally on the live call last night, I'm sitting there screaming, or watch party for legal purposes, the watch party. I'm like, no, it's not a live call. We're not doing none of that. Don't send the police my way. But we're doing the watch party, and I'm literally screaming, 11 hats to the ball. That's how you get a stop. Come on, man, get the tackle. Like I'm sitting there like I'm loving that the fact that it is when one gets on them, this defense has a swarm mentality. And early in the season, we didn't see that last season. I love that we're starting to see that now because even you mentioned Tyreek. Tyreek had a rough day. Tyreek was the other guy that Nico Collins was cooking heavily. Tormenting, right? And they were picking on him.
Yeah.
But in a game like that, Tyreek still makes big plays. Yes, is he getting beat on the other side? 100%. At 10 targets, 8 receptions, 135 yards, a touchdown. But he didn't get killed. And I think that to me, right, big play, tight end over the middle. This is to keep the drive going, or the Bears get the ball back here. Perfect timing to blow the tight end up. Ball falls incomplete. They have to punt. Staying engaged in that way, I thought that Tyreek Stevenson was able to fight back. This defense feels so incredibly dangerous to me. And you went up against a team that, like I said, is Super Bowl caliber in my mind, and you held them to 19 points. Last week, they were so efficient offensively. They ran the football 30 times and got 30 passes in there. I don't see many teams that get a chance to do that.
Yeah, that's that's interesting. There were a lot of teams that ran it down their opponents' throats a week ago and found a W. I'm hoping, and it's a yearly issue for us, that we're saying, okay, listen, we have a rookie quarterback. How are we going to protect him? Run the ball. And then it's like, okay, this is the way we're going to run. We're going to run the ball, everything in gun. We're going to get in short yardage and be in gun. All right. So,
give me a smaller gun, just a little smaller gun.
Come on. We're going to get our offensive linemen backing up. All right. They're already struggling with 5-man pressure. They're struggling with 4-man pressure. They're struggling with the looks, but we don't want to double down and push them the other way.
Lance, there's nothing left. They're struggling with 5-man, 4-man, and the look.
Come on.
There's nothing left to struggle with.
Come on, man. I'm not, it's again, man, this game, it's not that, like, it's only complicated if you make it that way. Or if you're trying to force something that is not trying to fit. Work with what you have, do with what you have, work to your strengths.
Yeah.
Play to your strengths. And then when you get the team to where they can fit, you can finally fit, and you don't have to force that piece in. That's when you take advantage of that.
Yeah,
it's a great. It would be a great back pocket piece in the future. But I think that when coaches can't do that, and when they refuse to do it, I think they're limited. I see a limitation in their coaching.
Yeah, and a lot of coaches, it feels like to me, I'm not going to say, I'm not a coach, but it feels like a lot of coaches, when they do that, it's because they're scared of what the unknown could be because they're comfortable in what their system provides them.
I've been around the game long enough that I can watch players. Like, I can watch players and see the way that they play and know, so this is how, you like to, you're a sideline. Okay. You like to get lateral. You're a 2-gap guy. Or you like to get downhill. Okay. So now I know how to tailor what we're doing to what I'm seeing, rather than say, no, I want you to fit in this box here. I'm going to bring the box to you. I'm going to bring the box and say, all right, listen, this is what kind of player we have. This guy is he's arguably one of our top players right here. So this is how we need to start tailoring this defense, or shoot offensively.
Offense, yeah.
Even offensively, this is what we're saying. This is what we're saying we are when I watch. So that's what we need to start tailoring our offense to.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, you're preaching to the choir here. I agree with you. Before we let you go, Lance, I got to ask you, you just mentioned how long you've been around the game. You got an expert eye. Was that a pick six? Was that Kyler Gordon play a pick six out there?
Come on, man, the one that they lost in the deal. Listen, number one, the first reversal was right in front of him.
Yeah.
Okay, the first one was right in front of him. Okay, let's say by chance he was not looking at the play that is happening right in front of him. All right, he wasn't the only person that was on that sideline. Somebody else saw the Turfits kick up. All right, namely the referee. He saw the Turfits kick up. All right. Shut down the guy up at the eye in the sky that's telling you to challenge that. All right. For Kyler, a lot of us have been there. All right. I actually happen to be a guy when I were questioning, I said, they would say, "Hey, did you catch that ball?" I was like, "I don't know. It felt good. Like it felt good. I don't know." But that's my stance. I'm not gonna be like, if I'm 100% sure I caught the ball, secured it, and I'm like, I don't even know why they're reviewing this. But if I was sure about it, they would come back and they would say, "Hey, no, they're waving it off. They're not challenging. They're removing the challenge." He ran around. He said, "I caught that. Coach.
Yeah.
Throw the flag." And you look up and you saw it, and then you look at him. "Hey, man, hey, I don't know, man. Shoot. Come on,
so you were in the that's definitely not a catch club."
He didn't catch that. He was fighting in the fall. In the beginning, he had
hand was under. I thought he had.
At the first, it was under, but you're still moving. It's not completed. Next thing you know, he's sitting. His chin is on the ball, and the ball is on the ground. You know it. Come on, Kyler.
So how does this go now? The next time? Because Kyler's going to have another one where he's going to get another pick six, right? He's going to have another one where maybe it's close.
When he gets up, when he starts running to the coach to tell him, that's when I'm going to grab him right now and be like, hey, you sure? You better be sure this time.
He don't even get to run over there no more.
Right. We'll go over there trying to
Hey, I'll take that one over the first one. Who called for the first one? The toe drag on that. Who was like, that's not the Stephon Diggs toe drag over there.
I didn't even like when I saw the review where he was catching the ball. I'm like, this has catch written all over it. I'm like, if this receiver in the professional ranks did not even tap the toe on the way out, because he still had a yard when he kicked dust. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Come on, man. Like, there's no way. He's terrible, and he has no practice, no fundamentals if he misses this catch.
Yeah.
And of course, he didn't miss the catch. We missed the call.
I don't even know how you throw the flag on it, Lance. I was so sure that he caught it. I learned something about Stephon Diggs that I didn't know. I didn't know his hands were big enough for him to just palm a football like that. He had such a good grasp on the football, even when he only had it in one hand, it didn't move.
You didn't see the commercial when he had the mailbox and the neighbors and he was catching everything?
I remember that, but I don't know if I equated like he's just got the hands where it's like, if you throw this mug, I got it. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I mean, he don't sit as an Odell guy to me.
No. Just the opposite, actually. Just the opposite. All right. Stephon consistently catches everything within his vicinity.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Which listen, again, credit to Jalen Johnson, because they didn't target him much. They were just like, Jalen's over there. It's going to be a long day for you, Tyreek, because we're throwing the football at you.
We're going at you a lot. Yep. You look like you gained about 10 pounds. We're going after you, buddy.
Lance, before we let you go, man, what's one thing you want to see this team improve upon heading into next week?
Listen, I'd love to see them protect this kid. We have a number one pick.
Yeah.
and
sacks.
Right. And I would really love to see them push rather than step back and get tormented, by the pass rush. Let's ease what we have here, ease the stress of our pass game and everything and all that included, and push those guys. Let's double up on them. Let's find some holes. Let's run the ball. Defensively, we got to take the ball away, and continue to play, because listen, as great as our defense is playing, there's going to be a lot of wear and tear there. There's going to be wear from not getting production, not even just getting production from the offense, but the turnovers offensively, giving the ball back and allowing field position from our opponents, touchdowns from our opponents.
Yeah,
that stuff, it wears on you. It wears on you. So just want to see everybody. Let's get better, and then while we're getting better, collect W's.
100%. We got to keep getting better, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in, showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do for the great Lance Briggs.
Dang, you calling me
the designer?
You're unaliving me already.
It was the G and the L together. It was the G and the L
for the late and great Lance Briggs.
The great Lance. You gotta really separate those there.
Excuse me, fans. I gotta go chew on a bottle of pills right now.
They say out there, Chicago. Bear down, one love. He will be back with us next week. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Just got a chance to hear from the great Lance Briggs. Want to get another perspective on this as well, and somebody who you guys really taking a liking to on this show. My guy, Shay, you should see the comments, man. They love you in the comments, man.
Oh, great. That's new to me. Usually I'm getting hatred.
Shea Norling in the building. I think they like the back and forth. They like the back and forth that we have all the time.
Yeah, well, if you bring up any of what you and Lance were talking about with a certain former quarterback, they're going to get some of it.
Hey, listen, we may have to have that conversation.
Pat, you got to let it go. And you know what? You and Lance got to let it go.
No, but because here's the thing, and we're not even going to sugarcoat it. Let's jump into it. It has nothing to do with the former quarterback. Justin's gone. He's 2-0. He's in Pittsburgh. Have a great life. Go out there. The games look very Justin Fields-esque. And as I get to the end of them, I'm not gonna lie. If I'm Justin Fields, I'm punching offensive linemen when I get in the locker room. Like, he should have had a 250-yard, 2-touchdown day. He ends up with 117, 1 touchdown, and everybody's still in his DMs. But again, I don't care about the Justin Fields conversation of it. You knew coming in from last season, you needed to protect your quarterback. And you come into a new week where you just had offensive line issues. You come into a new season where you had massive offensive line issues. And you said, you know what the answer to this problem is? Coleman Shelton. And even if you thought that the answer to this problem was Ryan Bates, I've been at every single training camp. Everyone. Ryan Bates looks like a backup right guard. And you know what he looks like even more of a backup at? The position he's never played except 150 snaps in his life, the starting center position, which everybody just assumed, this guy had a great 150 snaps because PFF said he was dominant in those 150 snaps, so he's going to be great out there. Guess what? I'll bet you when the PFF grades come out, the Bears offensive line doesn't grade out terribly today, even with 7 sacks allowed, because PFF isn't where you go to find out if offensive linemen are great. You can use your eyes for that. I'll tell you what, Shay, they weren't great. We're having the same arguments.
And look, you're not wrong on the offensive line. I was just listening to you and Lance earlier and felt like there was a little bit of a relitigation. See, we should have built around Justin instead of going with the new quarterback.
Always want to build around Justin.
I know, man. And that's my point, is let it go. Just move on. He's gone. By the way, he's also still not good. Congrats. The Steelers are 2-0. He stunk in both the games. Like, it is what it is. He's gone. I don't disagree with you that the protection up front is lackluster. And if you remember, I said all offseason, my biggest concern going into this year, and the reason why I couldn't get to the level of hype some people did, Nick Wright saying that they would go to the Super Bowl, is because the trenches stink. Yeah. I didn't think that they addressed the trenches enough. Darnell Wright, good first-round pick. Last night, he was horrible. Last night, Darnell Wright's allowing free rushers from, what's his name? Danielle Hunter on the edge, flying right past without even contact. I mean, it's like the whole thing. At some point, I look at this and I go, maybe it's not just about the talent you've acquired. Maybe it's a complete inability to develop talent on the offensive line. I don't know where it starts and where it ends, but for Darnell Wright to look the way he looked last night, by the way, that's a guy who, if you ask certain people, wasn't even the best offensive tackle in the draft last year. I just, maybe there's a bigger issue, and nobody up there seems to know how to coach offensive line.
I mean, listen, I'm at a point now where Chris Morgan has kind of become he's kind of like the Don Cooper of this thing. It's just like he just keeps surviving, right? You're just like, he's still here. It hasn't gotten better. It's kind of gotten worse in some, like everyone praises him as an offensive line coach, as a developer of offensive linemen. Listen, I think you got Braxton Jones to a point. I think you got Darnell Wright through his rookie year fine last season. You can't motivate Nate Davis to show the slightest amount of effort on a consistent basis. Then you have to develop somebody else to be able to take that spot. Thinking that Coleman Shelton was the answer, I don't know what. If Coleman Shelton's the answer, what's the question? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I just, to me, here's my problem right now. And it's bigger than just the coaches. It's bigger than the offensive play style. Because guess what? After last night, everything, and this is probably why Lance went to the Justin point. Every argument that a Justin Fields fan wanted to make for Justin, I saw everybody making for Caleb, which I'm fine with.
That point that I get is, here's the issue for me, though, is you kind of have to reframe the way you're looking at this, because Caleb is 2 games in
100%,
and Fields
100%.
was 2 years in.
100%.
So it's a little bit of a different context that we're looking at these two players from. By the way, just to hammer a point, because I was curious when you said it, I'm a PFF guy. I subscribe. I like PFF. And I figured the game reports would be out. They are. Pass blocking grade of 56.8. Very unfriendly.
Okay.
PFF rating of the offensive line yesterday. There's nobody who can, and look, everything PFF does is film-based. If you want to disagree with it, that's up to you. Nobody who watches that game last night comes away from it going, yeah, offensive line looked good. It was dreadful.
Week 1, they were giving some favorable grades to Nate Davis and Coleman Shelton, and I was like, I saw Coleman Shelton face down, back up out there like he was at a party. You know what I mean? I didn't know what was going on.
Nate Davis pass blocking grade of 61.5, and the one that really stands out here, not to deep dive the PFF, Cole Kmet, try a 17.7. Cole, buddy. Yeah. You know what that's on to? There was the one play, Caleb got blown up.
Oh my.
And I believe it was Will Anderson, and they had Cole Kmet lined up right side over Danielle Hunter, and they pull him across the entire formation to, I would assume, chip and release on Will Anderson.
Will Anderson
never touches him. Will Anderson is in Caleb's lap like a stripper, and he's on the ground.
I just remember watching that play, and here's the thing, like, Shane Waldron, it seems like he's trying different things to add to this blocking. We saw a ton of 12 personnel last night. It seems like he's trying these different things to improve the blocking, to add blockers in. But you have to have a little bit of nasty to you to be good at those things. And Cole Kmet last night, like, I thought that on that play, if that was supposed to be a chip and release, first off, why are you falling over when you're like trying to huddle behind every one of the linemen here? Like, I just, the blocking scheme is its own problem. The talent on this team is my biggest problem, though. And we can look at the coaches, right, and say, you got to coach this better. You got to call this better. I think there's some plays Shane Waldron absolutely needs to call better. For my God, can we get the Gerald Everett tight end screen out of the playbook? I hate it. I hate it.
That's as bad as anything Luke Getsy did last year. Honestly, that is horrible.
What is the desired outcome of this? Like put someone fast back there. It's a screen, guys. But I have to look up it's okay to judge the guy. It's still in polls we trust. I still think he's put a great collection of talent together. But you know what? He drafts offensive linemen that played like him, and that's a problem. He signs offensive linemen that played like him, and that's a problem. Not from an effort standpoint, but from a talent standpoint. I like Braxton Jones. Braxton Jones is at his ceiling.
That's probably true.
Last night confirmed that. Braxton Jones can block the guys who are not the best guys in the league. He can be a starting left tackle in this league. But anytime Will Anderson or Daniil Hunter or Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons lines up on the other side of him, you literally go, this is not going to be good. And I know people are going, but that's Myles Garrett. That's Micah Parsons, Pat. That's an unfair comparison. Yeah, people don't say that when it's Laramie Tunsil on the left side. People don't say that when it's Trent Williams on the left side. It's not, oh, it's Micah Parsons versus Braxton Jones. It's Trent Williams versus Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
he's going to go out there and he's going to do what he needs to do to get the job done and keep his quarterback upright. You don't have that guy on this team.
But Pat, this is what I've always said. Like I've always said, they built this team a little bit backwards. They built this team outside in. The trenches weren't ready all off season. I tried to prepare people as best I could that the trenches were going to be a problem on both sides of the football, and it is. And the blame, if you're looking for somebody to blame, it lies with Ryan Poles. He just simply hasn't addressed it. Yeah. Didn't go out and get a center when it was an obvious need. It was the same issue I had. What did I say? And you got mad at me. You and many other people got a little frustrated because all offseason I said, these moves are nice. They're splashy. I would like a defensive tackle and I would like a center. What did I get? You know what I got? I got gruel. I got fed gruel like I was in a prison, like I'm Oliver Twist. I'm not asking for a lot. I want a center and I want a defensive tackle. That's it. And I got nothing.
I don't ever get mad at you because I was in on the center. Listen, I was leading the. I don't care.
I might be conflating, but I do this. I'm starting to get angry, and it's something I haven't had the opportunity. I wanted a center and a D tackle. I got the corpse of DeAndre Swift and Keenan Allen, who's already hurt. Like, what are we doing? Was I wrong when I said these things? And people got livid.
Yeah.
Oh, you trust Poles. Let Poles cook. Build the team inside and then worry about the out.
Yeah.
I'm not writing it off. I'm not saying the sky's falling, but to be 2 weeks in and be 1-1 and feel as badly as we all do about how this offense looks, not great.
And by the way, this is what the funny part is. An offense that looked much better than week 1.
Yeah, that it did. Granted, the bar after week 1 is about as low as you could go. It's not like they had to hop over it. They could just take a small step. They would have cleared it. It's still like to look better and still look that bad.
Yeah.
And to have the offensive line look as inept and the blocking schemes just look atrocious. Again, pulling Cole Kmet. What if Cole Kmet's on the field in a critical down? I don't want him pulling to chip on a guy. Or honestly, it may not have been a chip and release because it didn't look like he was running a route. Looked like he kind of got lost.
Yeah.
I don't need him pulling to pass block. I need him running a route.
I think I haven't looked at the all-22 yet, but just looking at the TV and remembering what the TV play was, it looked like he was just supposed to saw Will Anderson in half.
Yeah.
And he just missed him.
It looked like he didn't even see him. And again, I don't want to get too like, oh, the world's over. Because you just overreact to the loss and you feel a type of way this morning. But it is like, you paid Cole Kmet $54 million. You don't need him pulling across formation and throwing a block at Will Anderson. You need him running a route. You paid DeAndre Swift. You should have put some people in front of him. Like, you can pay a running back. Okay.
Ugh.
You have to have the offensive line to sustain it.
Yeah.
And you don't. And now you paid a running back who, by the way, wasn't good behind a good offensive line last year and gave him no help. You're in trouble. It's just this whole offseason. The moves were splashy and fun, and you get all these weapons, and you get the quarterback, and everybody's excited. I was excited, but I was still all year concerned. The trenches are going to be an issue, and this offensive line is worse than I could have imagined, and it's going to be a critical problem all season because you can't fix it.
But that's why I said,
how are you fixing it?
That's why I said this isn't an overreaction, Shay. This is not an overreaction to week 2. This is a proper reaction to the last 19 weeks of football. This is a proper reaction to what Justin Fields dealt with for 3 years. And I get it. There's some people who don't want Fields here. Fine, he's gone. But those same people, I was told Caleb Williams getting the football out quicker will improve this offensive line. Caleb Williams was getting the football out in 2.5 seconds last night. That's what you ask for. That's what we wanted. That's what we were saying. That's the kind of quarterback we need. On 37 dropbacks, he was pressured on 36. So
no, they adjusted that. So he was pressured on 23 of his dropbacks, but it amounted to 36 pressures, which means you had multiple free rushers on certain plays. Right. Also not great. Like, I'm not saving the O-line here. I'm just making the point. That stat got taken a little out of context. Look, I didn't want Fields here because I don't think Fields is good.
Right.
And again, my hope was you draft a rookie quarterback, you're going to invest on the offensive line. And they decided they'd prefer to go the Joe Burrow route and get the wide receivers and the explosive weapons and let the quarterback cook without a line. That worked for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They made the Super Bowl. Good. It also got Joe Burrow killed twice in 4 years in his career. So it's a high risk, high reward proposition. And right now, all I'm seeing is the risk.
I'm not seeing any of the reward. Now, are there plays Caleb Williams has to make better? 100%. I think that, rolling right, getting away from Danielle Hunter, you got an open look. I think the pass that he made, yes, there were 3 defenders in front of him, but on the backside, there's nothing but green grass. I thought if you put a good pass out there, the Caleb Williams pass that we're supposed to be seeing, that we're used to seeing, that's an easy completion right there. You also had Rome Odunze underneath. Could have took that one, right? Short of the sticks, but you could have took that on 2nd and 15, and you're moving the football up the field. I think the DJ Moore play, a 50-50 ball. I'm not mad at you throwing a 50-50 ball up to DJ Moore at all because DJ Moore usually comes down with him. What I am mad at is the fact that you basically threw it to the DB and not to DJ Moore, and now DJ Moore had to become the DB on that play. I think that there were plays that Caleb Williams has to make better.
Yeah, agree 100%.
But we're asking Caleb Williams to be Superman in week 2.
Exactly. That's the issue. And honestly, even if we go back to the Bengals team that made the Super Bowl, I believe they started 0-2. It was a sky is falling situation. I remember 6 weeks in, early October, there was conversation about they should have taken Penei Sewell over Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
And they end up going to the Super Bowl. So nobody's saying the season's over. You can figure this out. The one thing you can't figure out is the offensive line. It's up to Shane Waldron now to understand how bad this is and understand a lot of the stuff that you want to run, you can't block, which means you can't run it.
Yeah.
You got to change the offense. You got to do things a little differently. Try to make things easier for Caleb Williams. And for the love of God, figure out how to run the football. Why did we pay DeAndre Swift? Pat, this is another one. And you can call this an overreaction if you want. But I said it was a mistake in March, and I'm doubling down. They never should have signed this dude. He stinks. He was bad for the final 15 weeks in Philly behind an elite offensive line. You bring him here to be behind this trash, what a total error. That is one of the big swings and misses Ryan Poles has had. He's had very few. He's done a very good job. But this Swift signing, disaster.
Yeah. And listen. You're never going to – I don't think it's an overreaction at all. I never am going to pay a running back $8 million because you paid DeAndre Swift to come in and do what Khalil Herbert was already doing.
Yep.
Who makes $1 million.
Oh, and by the way, who carried the ball on the goal line and got the touchdown yesterday?
Yeah. Again,
thank
Khalil
you.
Herbert. You know what I mean? Like you paid him. I literally, at our watch party, I'm sitting there doing it. I'm just like, the $1 million man ran the football. Where's Swift on the goal line? But I also have to fault Shane Waldron. I don't know if we know this or not. DeAndre Swift ain't a power back. Why are we trying to run him up the middle?
Yeah.
Every single play. That power back guy, the guy that Ryan Poles also drafted, invested that 4th round pick in. Yeah, you got him sitting on the bench. He's just taking headshots for some reason. He's not even getting in the game. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't understand the personnel usage through the first 2 weeks. And if anything, that is kind of my biggest gripe with Shane Waldron right now, if I have any. And I don't understand, back to the offseason, back to Swift, like paying DeAndre Swift. Sure. Is he talented as far as in the passing game? I think you need to utilize him more if that's where you want to utilize him at. But why are you paying $8 million for running backs?
I just don't get it, man. I never understood it. It was the immediate, like, free agency opened, and immediately it hit my phone, DeAndre Swift, and I said, I can swear, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing? It was instant reaction was just, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, Christian Wilkins, please. I'm like begging for anything, center, defensive tackle, defensive end. I wanted to Neil Hunter. Would have been nice. Watched him last night. Anyway, and then I see DeAndre Swift, and I go, what the fuck? And I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt for a moment, but boy, 2 weeks in, early returns. How about 24 carries for 48 yards? Do me a favor. Get out. Enough. $8 million a year for that crap? I never, ever pay a running back if you don't have the offensive line to insulate. There's a reason the Eagles can pay Saquon Barkley and make it make sense. It's because their offensive line is elite. And that's the team that said, yeah, DeAndre Swift kick rocks.
Yeah.
Imagine Ryan Bowles, we know from Hard Knocks, wanted Saquon. Imagine we got Saquon here at that money behind this.
Yeah.
It'd be the Giants all over again.
That would have been a nightmare, dude. And here's my thing, and this is my biggest problem, right? When running back is the last thing you have to worry about, that's when you can do that. Right? Listen, they got their quarterback. For the most part, they've got their offensive line. They've got their I don't know if I'm fully convinced on the center position just yet, but he's not Jason Kelsey. Maybe I'm holding him to a God level standard here, right? But yeah, you've got your O-line, you've got your receivers, you've got your defensive line, you've got all these pieces. Yeah, Saquon Barkley, I don't agree paying him that much money, but sure, why not bring him in? He gets you 3 touchdowns first game. He's dominating every time he hits the field. Perfect. We're not there on either side of the trenches, even if you believe. And I think that the belief in Javon Dexter is well-founded. I like what I see from Javon Dexter. I think he's doing a good job over the middle. Darrell Taylor didn't impact the game as much as he did in week 1, but for the most part, I don't have a ton of issues with the defensive line. You brought in, I'll go back to this till the ends of the earth. You brought in different Lucas Patrick. That's all Coleman Shelton is. He's different. Well, maybe that's Ryan Bates, a right guard that you hope to make a center. Different Lucas Patrick. Coleman Shelton is old Cody Whitehair, and he's 26. That's a problem. Like you focused on the wrong parts of acquiring pieces this offseason. I love the fact that you went out and got weaponry for Caleb to throw to, but even with 2.5 seconds, which is the gold standard. That's the Brady standard of getting the football out.
Yeah.
He can't get the ball out quick enough to get it to his receiver. What's the expectation? And I'll tell you this, now it's on film. You think Indianapolis isn't going to take advantage of the middle of this line? You think that every team for the next 6 weeks isn't going to go, well, we know we can kill them. Now it's on film. And you have no answers for it.
And you can't.
But you got an $8 million running back.
You can't fix it. Yeah, the other thing too, and I don't want to harp on it too much because I know it's been beaten to death. 4th round pick on a punter, real nice last night. 25-yard punt in critical moment, beautiful. Hey, how about getting bailed out by blocking the back on a return that brought the ball basically to where you kicked it from? 4th round pick on a punter. It goes back to what you just said about DeAndre Swift. That's something you can address when it's the last thing you need. 4th round pick on a punter. Really, bro? I don't care how good. And Tarico on the broadcast, booming punt. Oh, this guy, he's so good. Cutscene, returned 25 yards. Here's the info you need to know. This is some news you can use. Your punter is only as good as your punt coverage unit, because if you can't stop a returner, it doesn't fucking matter how far you kick the ball. Also, your punter is only as good as your offense, because if you can't score more than 13 points, I don't really give a shit how good the punts were. I don't need to see him 7 fucking times. Punter in the 4th round? Yeah, I'm pissed. I get worked up every time I think about it. It's absurd.
I'm so much in agreement with you, dog, because here's my issue with it. The best punts he had last night, because he was being sold as this dude that was going to like drop it on the 5 and it was just going to bounce left and immediately go out of bounds, and the Bears were going to win every time. It was going to be the field position battle. The best punts he had yesterday, and he had some good punts, he had some booming punts, were saved by the coverage team, though. Josh Blackwell, shoestring tackle, gets him down at the 10. Boom, great punt. Except if Josh Blackwell misses that, he returns it for 25 yards.
Yeah, or on the one that got returned to midfield. If you don't get a block in the back, guess what? That's at midfield. That's basically where you punted it from. Or a 25-yard punt that led to a goal line drive for the Texans. And the only reason you got the ball back is an opportunistic defense that forced a fumble.
Yeah.
It's just like the whole thing, man. Like the punter in the fourth round. Look, I get that most GMs aren't going to just swing 100% on fourth round picks, and it's probably low risk because whoever you missed out on, I was looking yesterday, I was just curious if there was an offensive lineman that maybe could have been taken. And the offensive lineman immediately after Torrey Taylor was selected is guy Gio Manu. I don't think anybody knows, but he's like a no-name, doesn't even have a profile photo. If you pull up his face, like they don't know who this cat is. He's on a milk carton, and he's in Detroit, totally not ready to play. So it's hard for me to like go through it. I think it's unfair if I'm like, you couldn't have taken Torrey Taylor. You should have taken this guy, and I don't have the guy. I think it's a little unfair on my part, but at the same time, it's not my job to find the guy in the fourth round. That's Ryan Pohl's job. And if the punter is at the mercy of a coverage unit that's hit or miss and is at the mercy of an offense that apparently can't move the football, then I'm sorry, you wasted a pick.
Well, here's my thing, and I think Yurko said this, and I fully agree. If one position player turns into anything behind Torrey Taylor, you wasted a pick. If there's one guy that is a every down guy on this list, you wasted a pick. By the way, if we went projected offensive line with Karan Amageji, we could have went projected offensive line with Cedric Van Pran. At least he's a starting center.
Yep, out of Georgia.
At least
nice.
I should say he's a college starting center. He's got some work to do here. But if we're gonna go projects, let's go projects.
Position of need, and granted, that's like 20 picks later, whatever it was. But yeah, Cedric Van Pran's on the board out of Georgia. A lot of snaps played at center in college, really experienced. And you took punter Torrey Taylor. Like, I'm not asking you to take this Giovanni Manu out of British Columbia. Nobody knows him. Nobody's seen him play. He's not ready to go. Van Pran would have been great.
You're taking a chance at a position you need here, and I think this is my thing, right? We talk about you mentioned, right, Ryan Poles doesn't have a lot of swing and misses, but dare I say, there's a lot of watching the pitch go by. There's a lot of watching the pitch go by with this offensive line. There's a lot of like, well, that went by. I don't know if we need that. You know what I mean? But punter, yeah, I mean, we got a punter coming up here for you. Oh, starting center maybe, or maybe work something out there. Oh, left tackle. Oh, okay, I don't know about that. Even right to me, with the back end of the picks in this draft, and I said this before the draft was happening. I was like, I would package one of these back end picks, fourth rounder and or fifth rounder, either one, and that Carolina Panthers pick, and I'd get back in the second round of this year's draft, and I'd go out and get Jackson Powers Johnson. I know he's dealing with some injury right now, but at least you know you got somebody that you feel can be an answer on that line, on that part of the line. Like you don't even have a formulated process to begin the answer to the question. Who's the starting center that you want to replace these guys with? I'm not gonna lie to you. I was trying to see what the mullet's got going on, and he wasn't good last year. I was like, is he still out there? Can we still get the mullet back on this team? He had a solid 7 snaps in a row.
Yeah, I don't know how this gets better. And people are starting to float free agent names out there, guys. You can go. I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. Like the idea that you're going to sign somebody and work them in, or that you're going to trade for someone and work them into your system and get them up to speed, and that they're then going to be effective blockers. Dude, Darnell Wright, top 10 pick in the draft to look like he looked last night. I think there's a coaching issue. And I think the idea that we're going to go out and just put whoever on this line, just fill it with talent, you might still have problems if the coaching stinks.
Yeah.
For Darnell Wright to look that way, it's the first time that I've been genuinely concerned that this is beyond a talent issue, that there's something else going on.
It's the only time I've seen him look that bad. Like, I mean, he's had, like, his rookie year, he had some tough moments, and maybe this is just a blip, right? And right now we're focusing in on it because it's happening while everyone else is sucking on this offensive line. And listen, there's some of that to be said about it too, right? He looked horrible last night, but the guy standing next to him that's supposed to be helping him hasn't looked great. And hasn't given a ton of effort. But last night was the first time where I was like, he's getting killed out there.
He was non-competitive.
Yeah.
And to your point, some of the assignments, maybe guys just don't understand. They're running schemes that don't make sense. Guys are getting lost. I think that was certainly the case in Nate Davis. Nate Davis, whether he's untalented or not interested in trying, I don't know which, and it probably isn't appropriate for me to say. That makes Darnell Wright's life a lot more difficult. Yeah. So I can excuse it a little, but again, that becomes a Ryan Poles, Matt Eberflus issue, because if Nate Davis is so bad that he makes Darnell Wright bad, he can't play. Time to go.
And I think that's the situation you're going to face. You have an $8 million running back. Now, again, this is. I'm not going to sit here and say sky is falling. Right? We can win next week and we feel ho hum better. Caleb throws for 200 yards. And we're like, every week he's gotten better. We can feel just fine next week. I probably still have concerns on this offensive line, though. But you got to make tough decisions on guys that are in very big spots with big dollar signs attached to them. Nate Davis is a $10 million a year player. I think that he's not worth being out there. You just don't have another option right now. DeAndre Swift's an $8 million a year player. Through 2 weeks, he doesn't have 100 yards.
He hasn't
impacted the passing game at all.
Pat, he doesn't have 50 through 2 weeks. DeAndre Swift doesn't have 50 yards. He's running for 2 yards a carry. Pat, 2 yards a carry. I know it's 2 weeks in. I know I'm being a little hot on Ryan Poles today, but man, there is good reason.
Oh, and that's the thing. It's not like this is 2 weeks in. That's what people are going to say. This is 2 weeks in. It's only 2 weeks in. They'll figure it out. It's only 2 weeks in. This is 17 weeks, guys. This is 19 weeks because we watched this all last season. How many times did we do a show, Shay? And me and you were sitting there going, yeah, the middle of this offensive line is really bad.
And look, last year, if you watched 4 games, if you're Ryan Poles in 4 weeks into the year and you're 0-4 and you're like, yeah, this quarterback, he's not it. That means that you had, let's do the quick math, 13 weeks of NFL season. So, not really, that's not fair. 11 weeks of NFL season plus an entire offseason to prepare the offensive line for a rookie quarterback. And it's the one thing that you wholly neglected in the offseason.
Yeah.
That's inexcusable. For it to look the way it looks, and we'd be having a different conversation. It's easy if somebody wants to go, Pat, Shay, what if Coleman Shelton and Ryan Bates were really good? He can't control Ryan Bates getting injured. Of course not. And if Coleman Shelton were really good, then we would say, hey, shout out Ryan Poles. He knew better than we did. Problem is, Ryan Bates is hurt, and Coleman Shelton blows. So we got to talk about what's in front of us.
Well, listen, you got to talk about what's obvious. How many off seasons have you gone into, Shay, where an elite starting center was let go from his team? I can't even remember one. I literally tried to think of like the last time an elite center was let go from his team. Somebody who was a difference maker. Heck, not even just elite. I was trying to remember like the guy who's serviceable that got let go from his team. So when they signed Coleman Shelton, I was like, he's a 26-year-old starting center in the NFL with over 1,000 snaps, and they just let him go? That's probably not good.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a good offensive lineman or like even just okay, you don't hit the market generally. You are pretty much locked in wherever you are.
And the one that did, right? I know some people are going to say, well, Connor Williams was out there this year. He had to get a new leg put in. They had to build him a new leg.
He's like a bionicle.
So that's a bionicle. What do you know about the bionicles, dog?
I came up with those
growing up. I was big on bionicles.
I came up with those.
Oh man, no, like I think, and right, we said it. It's swing and misses. He doesn't have a lot of swing and misses. But if you look at this starting offensive line situation that you have right now, and you watched Connor Williams go by, and it seemed like there was zero interest in ever really bringing him in, and you know what he has, that just watching that pitch go by is tough. That feels like a killer right now.
Yeah.
It feels like you're in the 8th inning and you had a man on third. You're down 1, and you watch that pitch go by. Maybe we'll be proven wrong. Maybe week 3, the offensive line snaps it together. Maybe it is just building a cohesion with this offense, but it doesn't look talented enough to me.
They won't. The offensive line's going to be what it's going to be. It just, look, if you want to have something to go, maybe this can happen. Caleb can continue to improve, and he can excel in a bad situation. He's done it in college. And Shane Waldron can understand more effectively the limitations that he has up front and figure out how to get through it. Those two things can happen. Yeah. This line suddenly magically morphing into being good won't happen. That is an off-season issue.
We got a guarantee on that. And that's what's scary. Caleb Williams has been sacked 10 times already.
It's 7 last night, man.
In 2 games, he's been sacked 10 times. Guess where I saw this? This is Jay Cutler. This is Justin Fields. You just switched the names on the jerseys. Now, do we think that Caleb Williams has more talent than those guys? That may be the case, but are you going to get to see any of that talent when he's laying on his back?
Well, and you know what it really reminds me of, and kind of almost a fear also? It is a little bit of Joe Burrow rookie year. Yes. It is like the flashes are there. We see where the talent is. He looks good in spurts. Like, I could see this going that way. And then eventually this line just catches up to him and he's done.
Yeah.
And that, I obviously do not want that to happen. I pray it doesn't happen, but it looks like that. And that's the price you pay when you choose to ignore offensive line. At this league, look at the good teams. I told you a couple weeks ago, I think it was you, when I was going through Super Bowl teams, maybe it was Peggy, and I'm going through the teams I think can make the Super Bowl and the teams that had a chance to make the Super Bowl last year. San Francisco, Detroit, Kansas City. Universally, all of them had elite offensive lines. And frankly, elite centers. Like Frank Ragnow is a center, you know. If you know the name of a center on another team, it's probably pretty good. Creed Humphrey in Kansas City. Like the point I'm making, if you want to be in those final 4 teams, your offensive line better be good, or you better have like a crazy outlier passing season, a la Cincinnati 2021, when Burrow went out and ripped off a 70% completion percentage.
Yeah.
You either need that or an elite O-line. And right now you're banking on the quarterback in a rookie year. I don't think it's going to happen.
And that's what's tough about this is you saw him in college, you saw the flashes, you saw the excitement. And I'm not even saying flashes. You saw what he was able to do behind a bad offensive line. And you said he can do that up here. We'll address O-line next season. That's really what happened. He can do that in the NFL as well. We'll figure out offensive line next season. Do you hear how insane that sounds? We'll address the 5 fat dudes up front next season. And I gave I don't know if you heard this, but I gave this stat to Lance. And this is one of my favorite, how important offensive line is for you, for specific to the Chicago Bears. The last time the Chicago Bears had a real playoff run, the 2010 season, right? Get to the NFC title game. You're right there. You're almost at the Super Bowl, lose to the Packers. They go on, they win the championship. That's the last season that we had a real starting center. And when I say a real starting center, I don't mean a dude that got into the Pro Bowl who was a guard and got swapped over. I don't mean a dude who, has had some injury issues, but, he's kind of figuring out. And so we're going to move him over at center. I don't mean a dude who we bring in from another team who's got snaps in at center. So we put him in at center. And so they're serviceable. I mean, Olin Kreutz, an elite level starting center. His last season with the Chicago Bears, 2010, he played 16 games. He allowed 1 sack. That is how important having a starting center is. Since we haven't had one in any of that time, from 2010 to now, we've been questioning the center position. How many playoff games have we won?
Help you out? Big goose egg.
So don't sit here and tell me you can do it without the starting center or an in-depth offensive line. And I remember all offseason, right? Cap screaming at us. We got to be chasing greatness. We got to be chasing greatness with the quarterback. Can I chase greatness at center? Can I chase greatness at right guard? I'd love to chase greatness at left tackle. I was begging for it. Because if those guys are great, guess what we've seen? Heck, I think if they're just above subpar, I don't know if you saw Sam Darnold on Sunday, but I don't think he's a very good quarterback. But when you give him a little time and Justin Jefferson streaking down the sideline, he can get him the football.
Yeah. What does Minnesota have? They got bookend tackles and a decent interior. And Sam Darnold looks resurrected. Hey, how about even like Malik Willis? Packers win a game at home. Malik Willis. Why? Put Malik Willis behind this offensive line in Chicago, you're dead.
Malik Willis is winning with a center puking on the football, dog.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Actually true. Josh Lucas vomited all over the football and then immediately snapped it. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Is that
all over 10? The football. Here you go. Malik, take it.
Is that top 10 disrespectful moments on a football field?
So I didn't see the result. I saw the clip of Josh Lucas vomiting on the ball. And then I heard LaFleur after the game said to Malik Willis, why didn't you throw it? And Malik said, Josh threw up on it.
Yeah.
So I didn't see what Malik did. Did he got the ball and then ran with it?
He ended up running with it for about I want to say he got like a 4-yard gain. It wasn't much, but still a positive gain. So, and dare I say, listen, Malik Willis, I don't know how he's going to be as a quarterback, but that's a mensch move because he could have let that thing fly.
Yeah, that's like crazy because honestly, just myself, if I'm receiving the snap and you have thrown up all over this thing, I'm ripping it. Like, get it out of my hand as quick as possible. I'll take an intentional grounding. This thing's going as far out of bounds. I'm going to hit a fan with your vomit. Don't you dare snap that to me. Good on Malik Willis for taking off with the football, tucking Josh Lucas's vomit into his arm and taking off.
That's a mensch move right there, my guy.
No,
like I saw that and I was like, Malik Willis, I'm not counting you as a Packer just yet. I'll keep you as a Titan in my mind because I got to give you credit for that because I would have let that thing fly straight to Jordan Reed. I'd just been like, catch it. I'm sorry. Yeah. It is what it is.
Dude, I'm telling you, I would have hit a fan on the front row. Put that in your beer.
Or worse, you throw it to LaFleur. You just throw it right
here, Matt, catch this.
This is what I'm dealing with out here. Oh, Shay, we got a very long season ahead of us. I don't think that the sky is falling. I don't think that the world is over. Dare I say, I still believe that the Bears can find a way to be on the positive side of a 9-win-plus season. But I do think that there's going to be some questions that you have to get answered very quick, and I don't think there's answers on this team as we head into next week. What's your expectation of what we'll see changed from week 2 to week 3?
Changed? I wish I knew. I'd like to say that the offensive line will play better, but I clearly don't really believe that.
Yeah.
Defense is going to be what it's going to be. It's awesome. I think, honestly, the Colts week 3 kind of present a decent get-right opportunity. Yeah. You know Anthony Richardson's going to take risks with the football. You know you're going to be opportunistic with it. You also know the Colts do not defend the run well, so even with a bad offensive line, I hope you can get downhill a little bit. It's tough. I think this is a decent spot for the Bears to get a bounce back and make us all feel better.
Yeah.
And there frankly isn't a lot of time for them to change a whole lot. I just hope Caleb continues to get better each and every week. And we look down the road and go, okay, that debacle against Houston was just a bump.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for a win on Sunday. That's all I can tell you.
Hey, and I think they can get it. I absolutely think they can get it. You hit the nail on the head. I don't know if you guys know this, and the Colts clearly don't know it. Anthony Richardson's not good. He's exactly.
All right, be nice. Good. Be nice.
I shouldn't say he's not good, right? I shouldn't say he's not good. He's exactly what he was at Florida. When I watch him, I literally go, yeah, the dude that can run the ball really well. He can kill a couple of guys on the way. He's got a cannon attached to his shoulder, basically, and he will absolutely give you the football away. The same dude that was at Florida.
Yeah, he's going to make dumb decisions, and you have the defense to make him pay for it. So I think that's a decent spot. And again, not really looking for a lot to change. I don't think a lot will.
Yeah.
I'd like to see DeAndre Swift have some level of impact on the ground against a rush defense that doesn't exist. So here's hoping.
I think to me,
I would tell you, if they lose to the Colts on Sunday, that's when sky's falling a little bit for me.
Sky's coming down. You're starting to see some pieces of cloud next to you.
Maybe not loss. There's a way they can lose, and I can be okay with it. If they can't run the football on Sunday at all, I'm going to be really nervous. I'll hit the point of like, okay, this is genuinely concerning, and you need to take a look at your staff.
Oh, listen, shout out to you. 3 weeks in though, I just
pause.
Yeah, that's a pause. That was crazy. At 3 weeks in, if we leave this game and he's got less than 100 yards of offense in 3 games, can we officially call it a bad signing?
Can you imagine? He's still somehow DeAndre Swift is still not at 50 yards on the ground.
Oh my God.
He goes for he gets 6 carries for minus 4 yards on Sunday. And he's just for 3 weeks in, he's not even at 50 yards. If he's not at 100 by Monday, I'm going to start saying things that I may not be allowed to say on the air. I'm going to be saying things in the group chat that are vile.
Hey, dog, he could have another 50-yard day and still only have 98 yards. It's bad.
See, this is the problem as a sports fan too, is I'm such a lunatic that I'm going to turn this into a personal vendetta against DeAndre Swift. It's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking horrible thoughts. I'm going to have horrible feelings watching this.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. I'm sure as a person, he's wonderful. It's just, I didn't want you on this team. I didn't want them to pay you. They did. And you are not good. And now I hate you. And that's as a sports fan, it's the way I operate. I'm sure he's great. But as a football player, F him. I'll say that. 48 yards on 24 carries. I could get a cardboard cutout of Emmitt Smith. You could get Emmitt Smith dancing with the stars era, not even running back Emmitt Smith, and he would be more productive. We could grab, name a dead running back. You'd get the same productivity.
Name a dead running back.
We're going to exhume Walter Payton. I'll be better off than I am with DeAndre Swift right now. Honestly, $8 million. $8 million for 2 yards of carry. I've said all I can say.
Just put Roshan in. Just try it. Like at this point, it's literally it's trying to get a kid to eat green beans. So it's just try it. Just try a little Roshan up the middle. I guarantee you.
Can't be worse.
It can't be worse. I guarantee you he won't get you 2 yards per carry.
Same thing.
Khalil Herbert outside zone.
Same thing. Is Matt Pryor alive? Just stick Nate Davis on the bench and try Matt Pryor at right guard. It can't be worse.
It can't be worse. I don't know, man. Let's hope that it gets better. Let's hope we see some kind of change in this offensive game plan. And let's hope that Caleb Williams keeps improving. It's a rough day when you literally just come in on a Sunday or on a Monday, I should say, and you go, yeah, Caleb, we saw what you did. 2 interceptions. That wasn't great. But also, these guys suck.
It's really bad when the quarterback has the stat line that Caleb had last night, and we don't talk about him barely at all.
Yeah.
That's when you know everything else is really bad.
It's ugly out here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for Shea Norling, it's your boy Pat, the designer, back at it again. We appreciate you guys for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. If you think we're overreacting a little bit, let us know in the comments below. If you think we're right on point, let us know in the comments below, man. For Shea Norling, it's your boy Pat, the designer. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down. One love. It's got to get better eventually, right? Peace.
Got to.